Hi, I'm Brian Elliott, District Sales Manager for the western part of Manitoba. Today we're in Myrtle, Manitoba, and I'm going to talk to you about some of our early maturing soybean genetics. This plot was seeded May 29th, 2020. So right now, the reason I thought that NSC Watson is one of the most popular and most common varieties in the industry. As you can tell, it's got that latch leaf formation, uh, which is very characteristic of this variety. One thing I love about this variety is its overall height. It's very tall. Pod set off the ground is really good, and it's very prone to have these pod clusters. This variety yields and performs really well. Decent for white mold, excellent standability. You can see this in 20-inch row spacing and down. This is a very strong variety and is a very popular variety. It suits all of Western Canada. Performs really well in all territories. This is an all-around excellent variety with early maturity with excellent yield potential. As we move over and look at some of our new experimentals that we're pretty excited about. A lot of these early maturing varieties are going to be real game changers for NorthStar genetics and the soybean industry. Here's a new one we're looking at right now, which is NSC EXP004. Thing I love about this variety is look at the height on this variety, look at the clearance off the ground, and look at the pod set as you look at the internodes. Very common for this variety to have 3+ pods around the internodes. Very excited about it. And the other big advantage about this variety is it is extremely early. This is going to be a good game changer for the northern part of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta. The other thing this is going to be an excellent game changer for is this variety is going to be one of those varieties if a guy needs to get something combined a little earlier, even in the east side of the province, he can go do his wheat, do his oats, do his barley, do his EXP004s, and then move into canola and the rest of the soybeans. Very excited about this variety. It's going to perform really well. Think it's going to be a big game changer. So the next variety that some of you guys may be familiar with, this is our first commercial launch this year, is NSC Wynyard. It is a Roundup ready to extend. Very excited about this variety too. This is going to perform well in the western parts of Canada. It's going to perform really well up north. It's going to be another game changer. This variety is tall, it's early, and has good clearance on the pods. As you can tell, this variety is already starting to dry down. We've got some beans that are just about ready to go inside. It's going to perform really well. This variety is classified as a stick to semi-bush type variety. I think if you gave it some space, it is going to be more of a semi-bush than it is going to be stick. Another experimental that I'm getting pretty excited about is this 0007 NSC EXP 0007. It is an extend variety as well. That's where the industry is moving. We're moving to extend. Gives us some other options to control some of these weeds. What I like about this variety, it is a taller variety, and it is going to be on the earlier side. This is definitely a stick variety. You want to keep that row spacing fairly tight. I think we talk about 20-inch row spacing and less. From what I'm seeing, and it is an experimental, so we got to do a little more work on it. What I'm seeing is I think we need to be looking at 15-inch with this variety. We got very good pod set again, very good height off the ground. We always hear that question about where's the pod height on these early maturing varieties. As you can tell, the pod height's very good. Just going to talk briefly on NSC Leroy. It is a Roundup Ready 2 variety. It has been on the market for 3 to 4 years, has performed really well. But what we're seeing is we're moving away from it because you look at our experimental portfolio, you look at the Wynyards, we've got better products coming in. Just so you guys can compare between what we'd shown you earlier, this is Leroy. It did perform very well. Like I said, we're moving away from it. Had great characteristics. We just got a better portfolio coming down the pipe. And just going to quickly stop at Watson again so you guys can compare what we're seeing and what we're talking about maturity, because like I said, this is the best known product on the market and it performs really well. Now you can see where we're going with maturities and how we've advanced. So We'll just show you the Watsons again. So NSC Red versus, quite honestly, this is becoming one of quickly becoming one of my favorites. The things I like about this one is that dark, lush green leaf. It is a very bushy variety, going to perform really well in all types of row spacing. Solid seeded up to 30 inches. I know our guide says 20 inch. I think this is going to perform really well in 30 inch as well. It is a very aggressive variety and it does branch out really well. The other thing I like about this variety, it is tall. And the other thing we got is we get pod clusters again. Performs really well. So we've got lots happening here. As you can tell, you can see some bit of bushing going on, a bit of branching, some pods along there as well. Pod height is what I'd classify as medium, but still, it's going to be an outstanding performer. It's going to do really well in sclerotinia pressure areas and IDC areas. It's going to look different if you had this side by side with other varieties because of its dark green color. It's a very sexy looking plant. So just going to talk briefly about our NSC EXP002 E3. It is an experimental variety and it is our first entry into the enlist market. So it's another chemistry option for us to use. It is a great looking plant. It is a 003 maturity. The big thing I noticed about this variety is it does have a tendency to be a little slower to the ground, but once you get into July and you hit that summer solstice, it seems to just blossom and grow. We're going to do a little more experimenting with this variety, a little more research, and see where it fits into our portfolio. NSC Newton, it is an extended variety. Very excited about this variety. I love this variety, to be totally honest with you. I love the height. I love how tall this variety is. I love how, pod set with this variety. Look at the space you got on this variety. This one performs really, really well in high trash situations. In soils, it has a tendency to take a long time to warm up. This is a really good variety. It is a bit of a niche market variety. Like I said, you want to be in those soil conditions and trash conditions, and it's going to perform really well. But just look at the overall height of this variety. And if you get it into fields with high trash situations, this variety will stay tabletop. It performs really well. If you look at it compared to the competitor beside it, just look at the height. It's an outstanding tall plant with excellent pod set. So the last variety I'm going to talk about is NSC Gladstone. NSC Gladstone is a Roundup Ready variety. This is one of the most underrated varieties in the industry today. This variety performs really well. Really extremely aggressive variety, really bushy. The thing you really got to watch about this variety is you got to watch your seeding rate. If you're going solid seeding or row spacing, you've got to make sure in a solid seeded scenario, you want to be somewhere around 180,000 to 190,000. If we pull a plant out here, you'll see what I mean when I start talking about bushy. Like look at the leaves, the bush on that plant. You get ideal growing condition. This variety is very aggressive. This one also performs really well in tougher soil conditions, heavier soils. Really performs excellent. I like this variety. As I said, it's one of the most underrated varieties in the industry today.